Okay, learning to build and run a game in Roll20, we are in the middle of combat. Last time, we learned how to roll initiative for a combat. At the end of that video, I deleted the turn order, so I will show you real quick how to do that again. And also, a little bonus, I will show you how to manually add something to combat. So you can right click on a mini and choose Add Turn, and that will manually add something. This will come in handy if people forget to roll initiative and you need to add them in. Or you could just have them roll again and then modify their initiative accordingly. So, once again, to roll initiative, I'm going to select the mini. I'm going to go to the character sheet while the mini is selected, and I'm going to hit initiative for monster. And then for players, the same deal. While their mini is selected, they go to their character sheet, they hit initiative, and it rolls them in. Same deal. While the mini is selected, hit initiative, rolls them in. All right, great. So now to sort the turn order, I go to the bottom with the blue box and I choose descending order, and we are ready to start this thing up. So we're in combat. The boar is far away and the boar is very strong. Chamomile is up first. She is a squishy spellcaster. She has 9 hit points and a 12 armor class. This is not a fight that she wants to be involved in. She looks at the rock that is here, and this is all going to be useful terrain maybe to stay away from the boar, but she does want to sort of slow the boar down. So she's going to look at her available abilities. What do we got here? She's got Dissonant Whispers. That'll be handy if it gets into combat with her. She didn't take any offensive cantrips, so she will not be able to assist with that. And she doesn't have a bow or anything because, hey, no judgment, she's level 1 and she's adventuring to get money to buy stuff like that. So what the heck is she going to do? She's going to try to get away from that boar. So double clicking the top of the character sheet allows me to minimize it, and she says, oh man, boar looks pretty fast. If it's moving at least 30 feet, I need to figure out how far it can go. So over here on the left hand side, let me move turn order out of the way and shrink it down. There we go. Over here on the left-hand side, there are tools. This one right here that looks like a ruler stuck in a bowl is the ruler tool. So if you mouse over it, by default, it will snap to the center of your mini, and it will show others what you are measuring. There is a sneaky option here if you're trying to pull a fast one on your players or your DM. You can always measure distances of spells and stuff secretly so that they don't know what you are planning. You can also snap to corner or have no snapping. Snapping to center works really good for planning out your movement and your spell ranges, so we're going to leave it like that. So while this tool is selected, I'm going to go to Chamomile and I'm going to say, all right, she's got a 30-foot speed, so she can make it to here, or here, or here. A lot of places she could go. The boar is a big boy. It's got like a 30 or 40 speed, so it could maybe reach on a dash. So she's like, well, we've got at least one round. What are we going to do? So she's going to move off the bridge, and she's going to hide behind this rock. Is she actually going to hide? Is she going to use a stealth skill? Maybe. So let's see. She's going to open her character sheet, make a stealth check, and hope that a 5 beats the passive perception of a boar. Spoiler, it does not. A boar's got a passive perception of 8. Alright, turn order continues to John. John sees the creature is coming. John is a ranged attacker. He took the fighting style that allows him to kick a lot of butt at range. He checks the range on his heavy crossbow. It's about 4 million. But he still wants to show you how to use the ruler tool. So he says, oh man, is it within 100 feet? It is. It's within 80 feet. So there's no range penalty. Now the DM might say, hey, this rock here is going to cause some issues. And then he would say, all right, well, what if I was standing at the top of this bridge, this natural bridge, would I be able to see over the rock? The DM appreciates that he's paying such close attention to the cool map, and he's like, sure, yeah, that'll work. So he gets up on the bridge, and then he's going to fire his bow. He goes down to his combat macros, and where it says heavy crossbow, he is going to click on it. Because we set our server up for success, it automatically rolls the attack. It automatically rolls it with advantage or disadvantage if we needed it, but we don't, so we're just going to use the first number. And it shows us that if John had hit, he would have done max damage. So that was an amazingly powerful shot, but unfortunately, maybe the intervening rock or bush, it is unable to strike. It missed by 2. Oh, how disappointing. John is curious if he can keep moving. Of course he can. Everybody in 5e can move, act, and continue moving, but he can't remember how much speed he has left. Well, Roll20 has something for that. If you select a mini and hit X on your keyboard, it will show you your last movement. So here it shows that he moved 10 feet. He has some movement left. He is going to hold the line, though. He wants to be able to take a shot at the creature when it gets closer and isn't around the rock, and he wants to still have the high ground here. Is that going to pay off for him? I guess we'll find out. On the boar's turn, the boar is really stupid and aggressive, and it's mad at these people for being in its woods. So all it's going to do is just charge them. So I'm going to have it run forward, and as you can see, if I left-click and drag it, I can't see how far it's moving. If I left-click and drag it, and then push the right mouse button, I can see just how far it is moving. Isn't that a cool measurement tool? So once again, I left-click the mini, and then I start moving it with a left-click and drag, and then I tap the right mouse button, and I can start seeing where I'm going. I believe the hotkey for this is Q. So if you don't have a right mouse button, you can left click and drag and then hit Q one time to start tracking. Now, maybe there is some weird obstacles that I want to show that the boar is moving around. You can continue to hit the right mouse button or the Q button to drop waypoints. So I can show he goes 40 feet and then he turns and he goes to there and then he turns and he goes to there and then he goes to there. When I let go, everyone will see the miniature travel that path to that location. And if I hit X, it will retrace the path for me to show the path that was taken. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right, so the boar did have to use a dash action to get to there. So, Camomile's really freaking out now. She's crying out to John, I should have asked for a bow. I should have taken Vicious Mockery. I'm so sorry. We're going to die here. And John's like, yeah, probably. She knows that the boar is going to charge her friend, so she is going to step out where she can see it, and she is going to ready a spell. So readying a spell does require your concentration. There is built-in tools to help you track that kind of stuff. So if I go to her miniature, I click on it, it brings up this whole radial of things. You'll see like a little arcade button directly below the miniature. If you click on it, it will bring up all sorts of weird icons and token markers. Depending on your game and what you guys agree on, you will choose one of these to be concentration. I have made all my own icons, and I love them, but you can totally just use the ones that come with Roll20. Just make sure that everybody agrees on what is being used for concentration. I find that a clock is always good for concentration, because, you know, like, spells have a duration usually. So we'll activate the clock. So now that we know that Chamomile is not only doing that, and she's readying a spell. So what else could we use to say that she's readying? You could just keep track, or if you're the DM and you have a lot of miniatures to keep track of, you might decide on something that means readied. So in this instance, maybe it is some crossed swords that could be readied, whatever you decide. When I used to use these particular tokens, I would say red for readied. If you had a red token, that meant you were readied and readying in action. So she is readying her Dissonant Whispers for as soon as the creature gets right in front of John, which honestly is a dope move. All right. John says, I don't want to be in that situation, Chamomile, but he will take a shot at it anyways as his turn comes up. So here we go. And he hits for 5 points of damage. He immediately asks if the creature is near death. The DM chuckles because this creature has like 42 health. That's ridiculous. Really, probably should have just sent like 2 or 3 regular boars like against them and not a giant boar. John is then going to say, you're great and all, but I am not going to wait around for this thing to charge me, especially since I know that it has a 40-foot speed. But he also knows that if he moves too far past Chamomile, it will attack her instead, and she's even squishier than he is. So he dramatically slides down this tree, and he is going to hunker down and wait for the beast to try and race across to get him. As his turn ends, the boar does just that. It is going to race across the bridge. Chamomile, who is concentrating on readying a spell, as soon as it gets by John, she is going to yell out, I cast the spell. So she goes to her combat macros. She clicks on Dissonant Whispers. She tells Roll20, I want to cast it at first level. And she does. Now, everyone is hoping for a miracle here. Will the boar fail its saving throw? Okay. So we check with the boar. It's got a -2 to its wisdom. Does RNGesus care about these people? Apparently he does. So it fails. It takes the full 13 points of psychic damage. And then it must immediately use its reaction to run away from them. And so it does. And as it runs away, they are entitled to opportunity attacks. Normally, a crossbow person wouldn't be able to do that, but I'm pretty sure his crossbow feat allows him to, well, maybe not. He just can attack without any disadvantage. I don't know. I think you have to have some other thing. Let's see. Crossbow. When you attack with a bonus action. Are there other benefits here? Let's see. When you use the attack action with a weapon. Anyways, I guess he doesn't get an opportunity attack with it. I don't know. I can't remember. Chamomile does though, so she is going to try and stab him with her short sword as it runs away. That's right. Dissonant Whispers can trigger opportunity attacks. So as the creature runs away, it takes another 3 points of damage on top of everything else. Here we go. And you can see that I'm able to just track the hit points directly there on the miniature, which is pretty cool. So it had to run all the way away with Dissonant Whispers, and I don't believe it can come after her this turn. But let me check. Let's see. Chamomile. Dissonant Whispers. So Dissonant Whispers does not display its stuff openly, so she would have to go and check her character sheets. Let's see. On a failed save, it must immediately use its reaction to move as far away as possible. So technically, the boar could then come to its senses and turn right back around and charge at them. But it would have to use a dash action to do that, and that would be its turn. That brings us back to Chamomile, who's like, I ain't gonna die here for nothing. And she decides she will use her second spell slot to cast Dissonant Whispers again. Yeah, so she goes to her combat macros. She hits Dissonant Whispers, and she casts it. Alright, another beefy damage thing. Let's see what the boar got. It's got to go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw. It fails again. And yet again, since her turn came back, she gets her reaction back, and she can make another attack against it. There we go. Probably would have been better to use that last time. Oh, but she critically misses. And so it runs... it can't run anymore, though, because it already used its reaction. Yeah, on its turn. Anyways, you get the general sense of what's going on with combat. So this continues, of course, until one side or the other is defeated, or the other side flees, or, you know, some sort of peaceable arrangement is met. I don't think the boar is going to reach a peaceable arrangement. I also think mathematically these characters are hosed. So definitely don't run Delian Tomb with only 2 people, and if you do, dramatically reduce the amount of monsters or the health on the monsters. If this monster had started with half health, they would have already killed it. So that's something to think about. Maybe it had already been riled up by the goblins who were passing through the area. Anyways, this gives you an idea of how combat works in Roll20, and measurement tool, and casting spells, and using tokens to keep track of your statuses and stuff like that. So I think with this video, you should be able to handle most of what comes up during combat. With everything that we've discussed so far in the videos, you should be able to start importing your maps, populating them with monsters, taking your expertly set up player character tokens, and pitting them against said monsters, and using all of the great measurement tools and turn trackers to have very fun, very cool combats in Roll20. I'll continue making more videos in this series, but for now, that's definitely enough to get you guys started, and I hope you have fun playing D&D online.